It seems like egg producers are kind of suffering from a scandal over the past few days. Vital Farms, a supplier of pasture-raised eggs that everybody assumed was healthy, which leaves those of us who eat pasture-raised eggs from large suppliers have a question. Do we have to rethink whether we're actually doing something healthy for us or doing something that might be harmful to us? Should we eat eggs? And you all know I'm a big advocate of eggs, and eggs make up at least half of my diet. I eat them every day. Or should we, like so many carnivore influencers have come out and said, I don't eat eggs anymore, and here's why. The scandal revolves around the polyunsaturated fat content of these so-called pasture-raised eggs. Now, there's a video, and Barry Simon sent me an email and pointed me to this video, and that's what got me thinking about it. And the title of the video is, and I'm looking at my cell phone for notes so I don't get anything wrong, Vital Farms scandal is not what you think. It's on the Nourish Food Club channel, and I'll put a link to this video in the description, and you should watch it. You should watch it. It's 30-40 minutes long, but it would be great to have a discussion about this. I emailed Barry back with my conclusions on this. I'm going to tell you what those conclusions were, but I don't want them to really color your thinking. But this was my first impression. I said, okay, Barry, my thoughts. You can look at this video in two different ways, as a revelation and shocking, or as an infomercial. Now, the people that put this video out have an alternative that they claim is a healthier egg. So I'm always suspicious. Now, the young lady that did this video made great points, and probably all of them are valid. My conclusion was, does it really matter? Is there that much of a difference? And after I read my reply to Barry, I'm going to tell you my thinking on the matter, and it's my opinion based on my experience and research, and then you can make up your own mind. It's an important thing. I advocate eggs as one of the healthiest things that any human being can eat. But that's not the problem. The problem, like so much of our food, is what are our alternatives these days with big food and big agriculture trying to feed 8 billion people in this world? A small farmer, a small producer might make a very good argument. I think maybe they should come back and talk more about it when they can feed 8 billion people. Not likely, not likely. In the meantime, I buy pasture-raised eggs from Sam's Club, full well knowing that the pasture-raised label is half fact and half bullshit. And indeed, these eggs, from a fat profile standpoint, aren't much healthier than any other egg. But the fat profile of an egg is only one small part of its nutritional value. Back to my answer to Barry. Since I already knew what Big Food was doing and accepted the fact that most of us don't have the option of living next door to a small farm, which, by the way, as she said in the video, have to supplement with feed as well. So it appears that all eggs, all chickens, you made this point very well in the video, all chickens have to be supplemented. Their diet has to be supplemented. They cannot live, even on small farms, on what they manage to peck it and dig up while they're out on pasture. They will not be healthy. So given the fact that all operations that raise chickens have to supplement with some kind of feed, the argument comes, what's in that feed? Because I don't care how you label a chicken, all of the hens, with the very few exceptions, are eating pretty much the same feed. And that feed turns out to be corn and soy-based feed. Feeds that are high in polyunsaturated fat, which are omega-6s, which skew the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio way out of balance. Now, how important is this? I'll answer that question. It may be that the eggs they sell have an advantage, although we really don't know what that is for sure. Most of us are pretty well stuck trying to find the best food we can that we actually have available for sale to us. Most of our community are realistic about the claims made when they mean like cage-free, pasture-raised, etc. It's what we've got. I'm still a strong advocate of eggs, and I think that we're still better off eating any eggs than no eggs. I did agree that if people have allergic reactions to eggs, maybe searching out the small percentage of eggs available, like those from her company, would be similar to people who can drink milk, who can't drink milk, but can drink lactose-free milk. And in that case, they would either have to stop eating eggs completely or go on the expensive and inconvenient route of searching out eggs like hers. That is, eggs that are fed feed low or with no soy and no corn. But other than hens that are fed feed with no soy and no corn, in the fat profile category, they're all pretty much the same, I would imagine, even the eggs you get from the farmer next door, because I doubt that he is feeding his few hens a very special and likely more expensive feed without the soy and corn. And since I can't find out what's in the feed that the Sam's Club pasture-raised eggs eat, I have to assume that it has soy and corn in it. So I'm not deluding myself. But here's my thoughts, and I don't want to stretch this out too far. I did a little Google search, and it was very interesting. And I'm going to kind of duplicate that here so you can hear the answer. What percentage of the fat in a pasture-raised egg is polyunsaturated?
Pasture-raised eggs have between 20 and 30% polyunsaturated fat. This often amounts to about 1 gram out of 5 grams of total fat per egg. And they tend to have more beneficial omega-3 fatty acids than conventional eggs.
Okay, 20 to 30% of the total fat in a pasture-raised egg is polyunsaturated fat. Let's try this. What percentage of the fat in a cage-free egg is polyunsaturated?
A standard large cage-free egg usually has about 0.5 gram to 1 gram of polyunsaturated fat. This is part of a total fat content of around 5 grams, which also includes saturated and mono.
How much polyunsaturated fat is there in a supermarket egg? It says a standard large raw supermarket egg contains approximately 0.7 to 1.0 grams of polyunsaturated fat. Not a big difference. Not a big difference in them. So trying to worry about how much of the fat in your egg is polyunsaturated, you may as well look at all foods. Beef contains polyunsaturated fats, omega-6s. Pork contains a little more polyunsaturated fats. Not all fat that comes in all animal products is saturated fat. Another thing you have to consider is your total fat intake. If you get a small amount of polyunsaturated fats from the eggs you eat and add it to all of the saturated fat and monounsaturated fat you get from everything else you eat, total it all together and see just how much of your total fat intake is polyunsaturated fats, you'll find even if you eat the eggs, it's very low. My thinking on the subject is very simple. Number one, just how important is it to have an extremely low PUFA to omega-3 ratio? I don't know. Come back and ask me in 100 years and I'll tell you what it's done to me. We have no real studies because they would be impossible to do. Secondly, I think that eggs, and I still think that eggs, including the polyunsaturated fats or PUFAs that come from the corn and soy in the feed that they eat, is not going to be all that significant in your overall health. And the difference in that, in basically all of the standard eggs, whatever they're labeled that you can get in the supermarket or Sam's Club, maybe in reality aren't quite as good or don't sound quite as good on paper than the eggs which are the subject of this scandal, because the scandal was revelation. These eggs, we thought they were healthy, but the hens, even though they're pasture-raised, eat chicken feed containing soy and corn. I'm afraid we're stuck with that. Like we're stuck with plants growing in nutrient-deficient soil, like we're stuck with animals and meat grazing on these plants that are deficient in so many nutrients. And I still think that eggs are the best source of nutrient, steady, constant, adequate fat of anything you can eat. And every time a chick pops out of an egg, you can be pretty well assured that that egg did contain everything, maybe 50,000 different micronutrients, the things that life needs to happen. So it is what it is. We have to eat. We have to get our food, unfortunately, from food suppliers these days. My advice, as always, don't be afraid to eat eggs. Source your food the best you can afford. Don't agonize over these tiny little details that might have some meaning and yet might not, but they make great selling points. They sound logical. But do the best that you can do, because that's all we can do. Either that or we go without eating, which is something we can do for a little while, but not really the best alternative. That's what I'm going to do. This has been purely my opinion. If you violently disagree with me and have some evidence that I might want to consider, I'm not here to debate, but I'm certainly open-minded. So please leave a comment in the video with your thoughts. Maybe tell us what kind of eggs you buy and why. And maybe you'll help us all discover something that we didn't know, because there's certainly plenty of things at my tender young age that I haven't learned yet, and I'm always open to it. I hope that made some sense to you. I'd like you to watch this video, and after you've heard my thoughts, consider them as you watch the video, because the young lady in the video didn't sound like a salesman, and I'm sure she truly believes that her company's eggs are superior. But consider how important really is that. With that being said, take the rest of the day off and eat meat and eggs.